So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today, welcome you back here at BSN Arc. This is the BSN Arc podcast here today. It is Friday, October 16th. Everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. I know I did. Everybody's having a good day so far. It is, in fact, Friday. We are very close to the weekend. One day until the weekend, which is very good news. Another football weekend. College football, NFL football. There's been some positive tests in the NFL. There was one false positive in the NFL. But other than that, there is a positive test in the NFL. The New England Patriots have another positive test. So it is it's going to be very interesting to see what happens and if in fact they will play or if they're not going to play and they will have to reschedule that game. It is going to be very interesting. It is going to be very interesting to see what happens this week in the NFL. So we got a lot of good games this week. I'll give you my game picks. I'll give you my whole run through. Kind of what you want to see. Obviously, yesterday was more baseball action. The Dodgers find themselves in a 3-1 hole. Astros win again. They are now 3-2. They're down in the series. So once again, tonight's a win or go home for them. And the Dodgers tonight, they are win or go home. And for the rest of the series, the Dodgers will be win or go home. As the Braves, all they have to do is win one game. So Dodgers going to have to come back from a 3-1 comeback. Dodgers pitching just can't seem to do well, and their hitting can't either. I mean, their hitting struggled yesterday, and so their pitching. They're hitting at many chances. I mean, you talk about that 7th inning, I think it was, or 6th inning, or whatever. They bases loaded, and they only were able to score one run. I mean, when the bases are loaded and you can only score one run when there's a chance for 4 runs there, it's really bad. I mean, it really is not good. They lost 10-2 yesterday. Pitching's just not good. Hitting's not good. The Dodgers right now are not playing good baseball. And the Dodgers are just like the New York Yankees. These are one of these years. This is win or go. This is World Series or bust for them. They have the talent. They just have to get there. They've gone there, but they've been losing. This is World Series or bust this year for the Dodgers. So they obviously have to win today, or else their season's done, and the Braves punch a ticket to the Fall Classic. So that will be interesting, exciting to see that game. But we first start off, these are the topics. We got the NFL game picks, Jets, Giants, and Le'Veon Bell is now a Kansas City Chief. When we do the Kansas City Chiefs pick, which is actually on Monday, I just realized they play Monday. Either way, we're going to talk about Le'Veon Bell later on in the podcast a little bit. Just kind of give you my run through on what I think, if I think that's a good deal or not. My thoughts on it. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Then we have the fantasy football overview. Give you all the players I think you should start, you should sit, all that kind of stuff. MLB playoffs, college football games, Miami versus Pittsburgh. We'll preview all of that. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN Arc podcast, and let's get into it. So, this week is, in fact, week 6 of the 2020 NFL season. Definitely some bumps in the road. The NFL has definitely hit a lot of bumps in the road. You obviously had the Tuesday game, no Thursday night game. That game got pushed to Monday. Colts had a false positive today. Patriots had a positive test. Doesn't look like it's false. So there's been a lot of crazy things that have happened with the NFL within the past week. So week 6 is upon us, though. Week 6 is happening of the NFL season. The NFL is going through their season, even though there's been some hiccups. They're still going through it. We already are in week 6 of the NFL season, so they're still going through the season. Although there are issues with some teams with the positive tests and everything, they're still cruising along. The NFL is still going on. There has not been any talks about canceling the season. There are pausing the season, postponing the season. There has not been any of that. The NFL is still going through it. Now, as more teams test positive, as more players test positive, as more teams have to cancel, could that affect things? Sure. But for the time being, we are sitting here on Friday, October 16th. We are sitting here talking about Week 6 game picks. So at the moment, the NFL is going to continue to play on. Well, is that going to happen? Is that going to continue like that? We don't know. We will see. So this is Week 6 of the NFL season. As I This is week 6 of the NFL season as I draw my pen there. So let's get into it. Week 6 NFL game pick. So, like I said, Jets, Dolphins, and the Giants, Redskins, I will always, or whatever football team, I will always do those as a special preview since it is a New York sports team. So we start off here with the Jets-Dolphins game. Like I said, I will talk about that. And then the Giants-Redskins game, I'll talk about that as well. So, let's get started. This is my Week 6 NFL game pick. So, we start off this week with the Bears and the Panthers. Bears come into this game 4-1. Panthers come into this game 3-2. Panthers right now are playing very good football. Panthers are 1.5-point favorites. Over-under is set at 44.5. At this very moment, the Panthers, you can make the argument, are playing one of the best football in all the NFC, and I don't think that's an understatement. I mean, they really are. They're playing some of the better football in all of the NFC. And the Bears are too, and the Bears are doing it with their backup quarterback, now their starting quarterback in Nick Foles. So the Bears are doing it in a very interesting way, and the Panthers are doing it in a very normal way. Doing it with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater using his arms, using his legs. Their backup running back, McCaffrey's obviously out. They've brought in their backup. Mike Davis has done everything they've asked for and some for the Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore's been good. You know, he's been decent. He hasn't been anything special. Had a good week last week. They really want to see what he can do this week. As for the Colorado Panthers, or not the Colorado Panthers. As for the Colorado Panthers, I mean Carolina Panthers. As for the Chicago Bears, you got Nick Foles. He's okay. You know, David Montgomery, Allen Robinson has been really able to pick it up. And I will tell you what, Jimmy Graham has been having a phenomenal year. For a player who nobody probably even thought he would have an average season, has been above average, has made a lot of spectacular plays, and has been very good for the Chicago Bears team. I mean, very good. Very good for the Chicago Bears team. And that is not an understatement. He has been very, very good for the Chicago Bears team. Chicago Bears defense, very good. Carolina Panthers offense, very good. I will give the Chicago Bears the win here. Here is my reasoning behind it, okay? I'm not completely sold on this Panthers team quite yet. Am I sold on the Bears? No. Am I sold on the Panthers? No. I understand the Panthers come into this game as 1.5-point favorites. I understand that. Am I completely sold? Not really, though, on this Panthers team. I still think they are a good team, and I mean, I will tell you what, I still do think they are a very good team. They could be a very, 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 very solid team. I mean, let me mind you, they win this game, they're 4-2, then they go play up against the Saints next week, who have been iffy this season at best. You might be able to squeak out another win there. I do think the Bears win this game, though. Now, let's just say the Panthers win this game. I will probably start to really believe in them. But I do think the Bears win this game. I think it's going to be somewhere around like a lower scoring game. 24-21, 28-24. Somewhere around there. Bears win. And I would take, if it's 28-24, then I would take the under on the over-under of 44.5, right? Because 28 plus 24 is... No, actually, take the over on the over-under of 44.5, right? Because 28... Yeah, I take the over on the over-under of 44.5. 44.5, I will take the over on the over-under. I take the over, and I do think the Bears win. So that is my first pick, Bears win. Next up, we got the Bengals and the Colts. This game was interesting. I mean, you heard this morning, this morning, earlier today, you heard, the Colts had a false positive. Then you heard about the Patriots having a positive test later on in the day, right? So you obviously heard a lot of this stuff about, the Colts and stuff, and I'm sure the Colts, because they did have to get some home, this could affect the Colts in different ways. Colts come into this game with a 3-2 record, 7.5-point favorites, over-under is 46.5. Like I said, I think the Bengals are a lot better than 1-3-1. And I think the Colts are meh. I just don't know about the Colts. I don't know. Something about the Colts, I just can't picture them being 3-2 and, people talking about them making the playoffs. Like, out of all the teams, the Colts, right? You just can't really picture that. The Colts do, after this game, do head into a bye week. next week. They do not play next week, or at least that's what it looks like. Yeah. So it looks like they do not play this week. So the Colts, this is kind of it for them. They win this week, they go into the bye 4-2. They lose this week, they go into the bye 500. Not really where you want to be at 500. Probably going into a bye 500. But the way you started the season and then going to the bye 500 wouldn't be great for the Indianapolis Colts. The Bengals last week struggled. I mean, Joe Burrow, that was the worst. That was by far the worst start of Joe Burrow's young career. And he's going to have those. As fans, you're going to expect that. The first 4 games, he threw for over 300 yards. You're going to have that game. He's not going to be able to keep up that pace every single game. He's going to have a game where he comes back down to earth a little bit. Joe Burrow had one of those, and it would be very interesting to see how Joe Burrow responds from after that game where he really struggled and the Ravens just absolutely clobbered him, absolutely crushed him. It will be interesting to see how he responds. Does he respond, be quieting all the people that are up, this is the normal Joe Burrow? Does he respond and struggle again? How is he taking that game? Because he really struggled last game. It's going to be interesting. Did not throw a touchdown. The worst start of his young career so far. It was only his 5th start. So, if that's his worst start of his career, that ain't bad. I'll tell you that for sure. But I do think that the Bengals will not win this game. I do think the Colts will win this game. I just think their defense, their offense isn't amazing. I just think their defense just is very good. I mean, they have a top 2 or 3 defense in all the league. Bengals offense, if they played anything like they did last week against a defense that is not as good as the Colts, I do think the Colts win this game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game as well. I think it's going to be 28-17 Colts win. And it's going to be, I'll take the, 28 plus 10, that's 38, plus 7, that's 45. So I take the over on the over-under, or under on the over-under of 46.5, and the Colts cover. Next up, we got the Broncos and the Patriots. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to predict this game. If this game does not happen, whoever I picked does not count. There was a positive test for the Patriots. If this game happens, it happens. Now, let's just say the Patriots have to forfeit or something. Let's just say the Patriots have to forfeit or whatever. It does not go against my pick. If they forfeit and they lose that game, it wouldn't go against my pick. I'm going to tell you right here, I'm going to pick the Patriots in this game. I just want to make that clear. Those are some of the rules I kind of made for this season. If there is in fact a team that forfeits, I kind of already made a rule for myself that it won't count as either a win or a loss for me. Let's just say the opponent of the team that I picked. Let's just say, for example, I picked the Broncos right here. Let's just say that. And let's just say the blue team, because I don't want to confuse any of you using actual NFL teams. Let's just say I picked the blue team, and then the red team had the forfeit. The blue team, I would not count as a win or a loss because they forfeited, So I'm going to pick this game. If the Patriots don't play, they don't play. I won't count it as anything. So Patriots come into this game 2-2. Broncos come into this game 1-3. The Patriots come into this game 9.5-point favorites. Over-under is 45. If, in fact, Cam Newton's back, if, in fact, Stephon Gilmore's back, if, in fact, they play, I will, in fact, take the Patriots here. Broncos, they've struggled. They really have struggled this season. I expected a lot more out of the Denver Broncos this year than what I saw. I was expecting the Broncos to be 6-10, 7-9, 8-8, somewhere in that range. Drew Lock hurt his shoulder. Courtland Sutton tore his ACL. You had to go to your 4th string. You had to go to, your 3rd, 4th string quarterback. A lot of these first couple weeks for the Denver Broncos have been rough, to say the very least. Their only win was against the winless New York Jets, with their backup quarterback in, with their 3rd string quarterback in. This has been a Broncos team that has been a rocky start, to say the very least. I think the Patriots win this game. I understand the Patriots have had a lot of startups and shutdowns. Now they're shutting down again. I understand that might mess up their rhythm, but they do get Cam Newton back. You saw against the Chiefs, that was their biggest problem. They did not have a quarterback. Cam Newton's back. Stephon Gilmore's back. I give the Patriots this win, and I think they win big in this game. 35-14, I think they win big. And I take the over on the over-under of 45. And I think the Patriots cover easily. Steelers-Browns. This is a big game, too. This is a big game. Steelers come into this game 4-0, and they come in 3.5-point favorites. Browns come in this game 4-1. The over-under is 51 in this game. This is going to be a huge game for who's going to take that who's going to take that division. It really is going to be a big game. And I think this is one of these games where, you're going to have to, this is going to be one of these games where you got to watch out. Like, this game's going to really decide, I think, who wins that AFC South division. I really do. I think that this Cleveland Browns team has a lot to prove. They are 4-1. They've played very well. But the problem is I think, I'm still kind of in that person that I'm not quite sold on this Cleveland Browns team. I'm not quite sold on this new Baker Mayfield, this new Jarvis Landry, this Beckham that he's playing like he was when he was on the Giants. I'm not completely sold on that. Look at the numbers. It ain't amazing. Yes, they're 4-1. Their defense has been amazing. Their offense has been very good. I understand. I do think the Steelers win this game, though. I don't think the Browns win. I just don't know. Something about this game, something about the history, something about this game, I just don't see the Browns winning. Browns go out there and prove me wrong. I take the Steelers in this game. I understand it's only 3.5-point favorite. I think it is going to be a close game. I think one of the big deciding factors is, what is Claypool going to do? Is Claypool going to have a week like he did last week, or is he going to have kind of a borderline meh weeks like he had in the rest of his season? He had 3 touchdowns last week, including 4 touchdowns last week, 3 catching, 1 rushing. Is he going to have a week like last week where maybe he gets a touchdown and 90 yards? Or is he going to have one of those, 5 catches, 30-yard weeks where we've seen him have most commonly? What's going to be the deal with him? Are they going to target him a lot? Was last week just one of those big weeks, breaks out, doesn't have a week like that again? That's going to be one of the big things. And 2, I think they have to target the Juju Smith-Schuster a lot more. He only had 4 catches in that Eagles game, and I understand they won. There's a lot of plays. If they would have gave him the ball, there could have been differences in that game. It could have been a lot more of a blowout instead of what the game was ended. So I do think they have to get Juju and Claypool more involved. But all in all, I do think the Steelers win this game. I think it's going to be a decent scoring game. 35-31 Steelers win. I think they cover. And I take the over on the over-under of 51. Next up, we got the Falcons and the Vikings. Vikings come into this game 1-4. Vikings come in 0-5 after firing their head coach Dan Quinn. Vikings are 4-point favorites, over-under 54. This is a pretty easy one to me. Vikings, I think, will win this game. The Falcons just don't got much going for them. Todd Gurley had a very, very, very good week last week. I understand they get Jones and Ridley back more than likely. I understand that, but I don't know. Just something about, even though the Vikings defense all year has not been good, just something about this team. I don't know. Matt Ryan had those 2 big weeks. But he was facing up against 2 horrible defenses. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know about this team. Outside of Gurley, Ridley, and Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, has started off the first 2 weeks of the season with breakout weeks, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, look at this dude! Like, look at this Matt Ryan! How is this happening? Like, Matt Ryan's going up, taking the league by storm right now. He's not doing that anymore. Matt Ryan's gone back down to normal Matt Ryan status, and I just think the Vikings win this game, and I think the Vikings could definitely get on a little bit of a win streak here. They don't play next week, but then they play the next week against the Packers, which will be interesting. But I do definitely think that there's going to be a lot of interesting things to see. Definitely going to be interesting things to see what happens involving this Vikings team. They're not out of it yet. They're 1-4. They're not out of it yet. What are they going to do? How are they going to respond to a loss last week like they did where they blew it? How are they going to respond? That's one of the big things. I think the Vikings win big in this game. I think it's actually a high-scoring game. I think the Vikings win 38-31. Not really win big. I mean, they score a lot of points. And I take the over on the over-under 54, and I think they cover. Lions, Jaguars. Jaguars coming to this game 1-4. Lions 1-3. Lions are 3-point favorites. Jaguars are 3-point underdogs, obviously. Over-under is 54.5. I think the Lions win this game. I understand there's a lot of people out there taking the Jaguars. I just think the Lions win this game. The Lions haven't been very good this season. Neither have the Jaguars. I feel like it's almost the same Gardner Minshew situation as last year. I think, he had a good 2-3 weeks to start the year, and then now he's kind of been back to the normal Gardner Minshew. He had the first 2 good weeks, then that Dolphins game struggled. and just kind of has been back to the normal Gardner Minshew, I would say. He's just been, he's been meh. I think that's what you're going to get out of Minshew. You're not going to get, I understand Minshew mania and all this stuff. I feel like it's dying down again. I feel like he's big for the first 2 weeks, then struggles the rest of the way, and I think those struggles continue. Jeff Okudah for the Detroit Lions needs to get going. This is a guy the Lions drafted to be one of the better corners in all the league. I really like him, meaning playing-wise. I really think he's a very good corner. He can do zone, man, whatever you want him, fit him into different coverages. He's a very, very, very good corner. They have to have him step up. They need him to step up. He's been struggling this year. Off to a slow start for the rookie. He needs to step up if this Lions team wants any shot at trying to turn around their season. I do think the Lions win this game, though, and they win decent. I think it's a 24-17 game. There's not two non-overpowering offenses, in my opinion. I think the Lions win 24-17. I take the under on the over-under 54.5, and I think they cover. Next up, we got the Ravens and the Eagles. Ravens coming to this game 7.5-point favorites. Over-under is 47.5. I think the Ravens win this game. I think this is simple. Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown, Mark Ingram, Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins, guys like that. Defensive-wise, you had Judon, Campbell, players like that, Peters. You just got guys on that defense that are just good, guys on that offense that are just good. Eagles, I understand they beat the Niners and everybody got all hyped up with them. I just think a 1-3-1 team is a 1-3-1 team. Unlike the Bengals who are 1-3-1, I think they're a lot better than what their record shows. I think the Eagles they play like their record shows. Bengals don't. Eagles do. I think the Eagles lose and the Ravens win. I think the Ravens win big. I think it's going to be 35-10. Ravens win big. I think the Bengals offense might be better than the Eagles outside of maybe Miles Sanders at the running back position, but I think the receivers, if Green can try to catch fire. But the Eagles, their defense is struggling. Their offense is struggling. This is an Eagles team that can't do much right. 35-10, and I take the under on the over-under, 47.5. Ravens win. We have the Texans and the Titans. Texans over-under is 53, and the Titans are 3.5-point favorites. This is actually, I think, going to be a relatively decent scoring game. I understand the Titans have fired their head coach, and, that it's almost like they've created momentum. Deshaun Watson had the best game of the season last week, and I understand that. It seems like they do. But this is I think out of all the games this week, out of all the games this year for the Texans, this is a must-win for the Houston Texans. This, in my opinion, is a must-win for the Houston Texans. And I know that might sound to you like a must-win already. I do think it is, because they're 1-4 right now. Next week, they have to go and play the Green Bay Packers. They are home for that game, but they have to play the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers going into that game, in my opinion, could very well be 5-0 going into that game. Or 6-0, sorry. They're 5-0, because they had the bye week. Right? The Texans, they lose this game, they're going into that game 1-5. They lose that game next week, they're going into the bye week 1-6. That's where your season's in the dark. They win this game this week, they're 2-4. Then they lose next week, 2-5. Okay, not great, not good, not great, pretty bad, but it's better than 1-6. I'll tell you that for sure. A lot better than 1-6. This is a big must-win, because then you go into your bye, and then you come out of the bye, and you got to play, the Jaguars. Exactly. You come out of the play, you got to play the Jaguars. I know I'm already looking ahead so much here. Then you play the Browns. Okay, that's difficult. But if you follow what I'm saying, they win this game this week. They're 2-4. They lose. Let's just say they squeak one out next week. They're 3-4 going into the bye. I think this week's a must win. I don't have them getting a win. I know all that stuff I'm talking about them. I don't have them getting a win. If the Titans lost last week and they look like the Tennessee Titans we all expected to look like, I would have maybe took the Texans here. But the Titans, I'm sorry. I just think the Titans are going to win. I don't know. They looked insane. They looked amazing. They look better prepared than the Jets do when they have a full week of practice, and they practice once in 2 weeks. The Titans looked amazing. And I think they're playing against a worse team than the Buffalo Bills. And I think the Titans win this game. I think the Titans win 35-21. Or 35-24, sorry. And I will take the over on the over-under of 53. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think it might be close. The Titans might run away with it late, almost like what they did to the Bills. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Titans win. And this is a big game for the Texans. They lose this game, they probably lose next week. They're 1-6. Going into a bye week, there's your season. You go into the bye week 2-5. It's not good either, but it's... Then you come out of the bye week and you play the Jaguars. You could pick up a win there. Then you're 3-5. You're feeling pretty good. Not feeling pretty good. I shouldn't say. You're 3-5. That's not very good. But you're 3-5. You're feeling like, okay, maybe we can get 7 wins this season. You come out of the bye and you're 1-6. And then you got to play the Jaguars, who aren't good either. Maybe you win that game 2-6, but then you lose to the Browns at 2-7. I would rather be 3-5 going into that Browns game than 2-7, or 2-6 going to that Browns game. Coming out of that Browns game, I'd rather be 3-6 than 1-8, than 2-6. I mean, or 2-7. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that might sound obvious, but for the Titans' sake of trying to get to at least, like Texans' sake of trying to get to at least maybe 7 wins, you got to win this game. I don't think they will, but you have to. Next up, we got the Packers and the Broncos. We skipped the Redskins and the Giants because we'll obviously talk about that. Packers, Buccaneers. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. Packers, Buccaneers. Packers come into this game 1-point favorites. Over-under is 55.5. I don't like the fact that the Green Bay Packers are 1-point favorites. And prove me wrong, Tampa Bay. Prove me wrong, Tom Brady. Prove me wrong, Tampa Bay. Prove me wrong. I disagree with them only being 1-point favorites, okay? This is a Green Bay team. This is Aaron Rodgers that's playing some of his best football you have seen in the past couple of years. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is having a great statement season. He's making a statement this year showing not just the Green Bay Packers because of Jordan Love in that whole situation, but showing the league, showing everybody in the NFL that he can still play at a very high level. He has shown that. Tom Brady really hasn't. Buccaneers defense, not great. Packers offense, very good. Buccaneers offense, meh. Packers defense, very good. The matchups line up. Packers win this game big time. I don't really think the Buccaneers win here. I understand there's all this hype around the Buccaneers. I don't think they win. I think the Packers win here. Packers are rolling. They get Devontae Adams back. They already have Rodgers, Aaron Jones. I just think they win. I think they win this game and they just move on with a 5-0 record. And then they go into next week against the Texans, who more than likely will get a win there. So this is a big game for the Packers. I think the Packers win this game. I just think they do. You come off of an early season bye week. You have a bye week 4. Then you got to play 12 straight games. They got to kick this 12 straight game slate off with a big win against the Buccaneers on Sunday. And I think they will win this game. I think they win 38 to 35. I do think it's going to be a relatively close game, but I think they win. I take the over on the over-under 55.5. Next up, we got the Rams and the 49ers. This is the nightcap. Rams come into this game 3-point favorites, and the over-under is 51.5. I'm not sure who's making these odds. I know it's probably Vegas or one of those sports books, but I don't know why in the world you only have the Los Angeles Rams as 3-point favorites. Rams have one of the best defenses in the league, and the 49ers have looked flat out horrible on offense. And you're going to sit here and tell me it's only a 3-point favorite. Disagree. I think the Rams win this game big time. 35-10. Their offense can't do anything. I take the under on the over-under. This is a 49ers offense that can't do anything. Who are you going to start? Can't start not Blevins. You can't start Mullins. Garoppolo started, got benched, and then people say his ankles tweaked it again. Who are you going to start? C.J. Beathard. C.J. Beathard's really going to have a good game against that Rams defense. Aaron Donald's going to absolutely destroy them. I'm sitting here looking at this game like this is an easy win for the Rams. The Rams have to come away with a victory in this game. Then next week they play the Bears, and that's a very winnable game. And then they play the Dolphins. That's a very winnable game. The Rams win this game, they're on pace for a 7-1 start. Because they win this game, they'll be 5-1. Then next week they'll probably win 6-1. Then if they beat the Dolphins, they're 7-1. They win this game, they're on slate for a 7-1 start and atop the NFL in defense. I don't know where in the world you see 3-point favorites here. 35-10, they blow them out. Rams win. Take the under on the over-under 51.5. I'll take the under. And in the next two games are the Monday night games. Bills, Chiefs, due to the scheduling, there's another Monday night game. And then Cowboys, Cardinals are the other. That Cowboys, Cardinals game is going to be good. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a difficult pick. Because you look at the Cowboys and you think, oh, Prescott, Elliott, oh, wait a minute. Dalton, no Prescott. He got injured. Which luckily he's doing very good, which is great news. But, it's going to be an interesting game. So, I think the Rams win. I don't know where people see the Niners as only, what do you think this is going to be, like a 28-27 ball game? There's no way. Who are they going to start? If they start Garoppolo and he struggles again, who are you going? You already benched Mullins. Now I got to go to Beathard? Beathard against that secondary? Beathard against that defensive front? It ain't going to work out very well. I think the Rams win this game big. So, these are my picks for this week. Before we do the Jets and the Dolphins and the Giants and the Redskins, so I'll review the picks once again. These are my picks. Bears winning. Colts winning. Patriots winning. Steelers winning. Vikings winning. Lions winning. Ravens winning. Titans winning. Packers winning. And the Rams winning. Then we're just going to quickly talk about this. Actually, I'll do it after my picks here of the Jets and the Dolphins. So let's start off with the Jets. Jets play 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. Jets coming to this game. The Dolphins coming to this game 8.5-point favorites. Over/under is 47. The Jets are in almost last in everything. Are almost last in almost every single category. Let's look at this. Points per game, they're 32nd, they're last. Points per game allowed, they're 30th. Total yards per game, 31st. Pass yards per game, 32nd. Rush yards per game, 22nd. Yards per game allowed, 25th. It's pretty bad. I know, it's very bad. The New York Jets are 32nd, 30th, 31st, 32nd, 22nd, 25th in the main offensive categories. So the Jets, to say the very least, have been brutal, to say the very least. And this is a Dolphins team that are coming off of a huge win against the Niners. And I actually take back what I said about the Rams against the Dolphins. That's not a guarantee. You sit here and the Rams will probably win that game. But I shouldn't trust them like that. The Dolphins have played very good football. The Dolphins looks like they don't play next week either. Then they play the Rams. Right? Yeah, then they play the Rams. So the Dolphins, to be honest with you, they could go into the bye week. The Dolphins, remember, right? Dolphins. We're talking about the Dolphins here, people. The Dolphins could go into the bye week, into their bye week this week, coming out as 8.5, or coming out as 3-3, which isn't a bad situation to be in. I will tell you that for sure. Going into a bye week at 500 is actually not bad. Going into the bye week at 500 anything. Whether you're going to the bye week 2-2, whether you're going into the bye week 3-3, whether you're going into the bye week 6-6, whether you're going into the bye week 5-5, whatever, 500, whatever it is. Going into the bye week, if you're a winning record or 500, or even if you're like a 4-5 team and you're kind of, you're coming out of the bye week, you got 2 easy games there and you're in a pretty good position to go get over 500 within the next 3 weeks, you're in a good position. The Dolphins could very well come out of this game being 3-3, Fitzpatrick playing well, their defense playing well, offensive line playing well. They could come out of this game feeling pretty good about themselves in regards to the rest of the season. They come out of this game 3-3, they get into the bye week, then they got to play the Rams. That's a difficult opponent. Then they're next week and next week and next week. We're not going to pay attention to that, but the Dolphins could very well go into this bye week sitting here at at a 5-5, at a 3-3 record and feel pretty good about themselves moving on the rest of the year. And if I was a Dolphins fan, I would be very satisfied with 5-5 or 3-3. Now, if I'm a New York Jets fan, on the other hand, that, on the other hand, is completely obnoxious. The New York Jets have been flat out horrendous this season. We have played horrible. There's been no positives to take from this year. The only positive to take from this year is if we do get rid of Gaze. That would be the one thing, probably as a Jets fan, that would make me happy. We got to go out here and try to win a ball game. That's really the big deal. And I understand everybody's rooting for the 0-16. I never like to root against my team. I've always been that kind of sports fan. I'll go hard on them and all that. I'll never sit there and root against them. As much as I want the Jets, to have a good draft next year and get a good draft spot, I kind of also want us to win a game, because you know how bad it would be. Like, I want to be able to say anything about another team, unless if their team goes 0-16, and it could be the debate of two 0-16 fans. Like, if I go into this offseason and we go 0-16, I can't say much about any of their teams. Like, I can't sit here on the podcast and talk about how bad a team did, because I'm a Jets fan. I can't say, oh, this team did horrible. He was horrible when we went 0-16. I just can't do that. It would be very difficult. If we went 1-15, okay, at least we had a win. I still think the Jets would get the first pick at 1-15, because I think the Falcons are going to win like 3 games. I think the Falcons are going to win like 3 games. I think the Lions will win about 3 games. I think the Giants will win about 3 to 4 games. So, and those are the other teams that are really contending for the first pick. I mean, the Dolphins have already shown they could probably win 6 games possibly this season. I think the Jets will, even if we go 1-15, I do think we'll probably lock in that first pick. But I do not think the Jets will win this week. I think the Texans will win many more games. I don't think the Jets win this week. I think the Dolphins win, and I think the Dolphins win big. I think the Dolphins win this week. I know this might sound outrageous to you, but I just have this odd feeling. Dolphins blow the Jets out of water, 42-10. And I will tell you why. This is a Dolphins team that is very, very good. I think they blow them out of water, and I take the over on the over-under 47. Okay, the Jets just seem flat out horrendous, and the Dolphins last week put up 40 against a decent Niners defense, and the Jets defense this year has not been, they're supposed to be our strength. It has not been our strength. I think the Dolphins absolutely blow us out, 42-10, and you might see a Tua appearance, because I think the Jets will be done by the half. I'm sorry, done by their first possession, I'm sorry. So I think the Jets lose. Dolphins cover, and I take the over on the over-under. So, now we move on to the Giants game, if I could find it here. So the Giants come into this game 0-5. Redskins come into this game 1-4. Over-under is 43. Giants are 3-point favorites. I'll tell you what, and as much as I bash the Giants and the Jets on this show, just because I do, just because they're just two, they're just two football teams that just have a tough time winning games. It's very easy to bash both of them. It's easier to bash the Jets because the Jets get blown out. Giants are least competitive. But if you get what I'm saying, I bash them all the time because they're two bad football teams. I mean, the Giants and the Jets. This is the two main New York football teams. Like, it's horrible. Like, it really is. This is New York's best product. Like, this is New York's product of what they're putting out on the field. 2-10, 2 teams that are 0-5, and on the cusp of probably getting a top 5 pick. So, if you follow what I'm saying, I think the Giants this year have been, they're 0-5. Their record speaks for it. You could talk so much about, this, and this. You talk about this. I'll tell you what. I'm a big person, and I've talked about this a lot of times. The Giants have been in all their games this season. They've been in their games. I mean, there's no other way around it. They've been in their games. I mean, they lost to the Cowboys by 3. They lost to the Bears by 4. They lost to the Steelers by only, 10? They've been 10 is not that much. According to the Jets lose. The Jets have their closest game they lost by this season was 9. That's horrible. It's 2 scores still. So the Jets have, lost every single game by at least 2 scores. So, there's a point there where, the Giants have been competitive. And the Redskins obviously came out that started off week 1 with a big win. And now they lost 4 straight and they're back to the team we expected. I do think the Giants win this week. And I don't know, I don't know why I think this. I just think they're a better football team. Even though they are 0-4, I just think they're the better team. I just think they're the better team in my opinion, and then the Redskins. I think they win. I think it's going to be an incredibly low-scoring game. I take the under on the over-under 43. I think the Giants win 24-14. I think it's going to be something like that. And I take the under on the over-under 43, and I do think they cover. It's going to be a very low-scoring game, I think. Just two non-really good offenses. Yeah, I understand you could say, the Giants put up 34 last week. Well, all you have to do is just look at the Cowboys' defense. You'll understand why. I mean, even the Jets could probably put up like 26, 27 against the Cowboys' defense, and that's saying something. Not 40, but they could definitely put up 20 points at least. And I think the Giants do win this week. And I understand it is pretty crazy to say this, but I do think the Giants win. And I know it's crazy for me because I bash them all the time on this show. And, I don't know if I'll ever pick the Jets to win this season. But if I do, it'll probably be very surprising to you guys. So I have the Jets losing and the Giants winning for the New York Sports Picks. So now we move on to this little Chiefs situation here. The Chiefs did, in fact, pick up Le'Veon Bell, running back. For the Kansas City Chiefs. Used to be for the New York Jets, is now over to the Kansas City Chiefs. I just want to first say something. I think this is a great move. I think the Chiefs, this is a great move. Now you got two real good backs. This is the Chiefs team that over the years has been known for their passing ability, their play action game, not been known for their running. Now they are slowly getting to the point where they're like, okay, we actually have a solid running game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce. I mean, this offense is loaded. This offense is loaded with weapons. I mean, this is, I think, the best offense in all the NFL, and I think many probably agree with me in that. And their defense has been solid. Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, they've had a lot of good guys on defense, a lot of good guys on offense. It's a Chiefs team that's only building. I think this move by Bell, I think, really puts them above the rest. Because now they have two very good running backs, two very good receivers, a solid quarterback, two very good defensive players. They have, everything for them is very good. At each position, there's a very good player there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, very good. Outside of him was not solid. Now you bring in Bell, okay, you got two solid running backs. You have a quarterback, okay, he's solid, don't really have to, he's solid. You have a receiver, okay, outside of outside of Hill, who you got? Well, you got McCole Hardman and Sammy Watkins. Every once in a while can have an outburst of a play. Three solid receivers right there. Offensive line, solid offensive line. Tight end, who you got? Hey, guess who? Travis Kelce. Then in your defense, you got two solid defenders. Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones. Solid players like that. They're only getting this Le'Veon Bell. So, now to the point where I'm just going to read off all the games. So I have the, against the Jets, I have obviously you all know, I have the Jets and the Giants losing, or the Jets losing, Giants winning. So here are my other picks. So Jets losing, Giants winning. Those are my two picks for the New York sports teams. Here are my picks for around the NFL, just to kind of cap it off and just to make sure that I'm not, switching on my pick at all. Here are my picks. Bears winning, Colts winning, Patriots winning, Steelers winning, Vikings winning, Lions winning, Ravens winning, Titans winning, Packers winning, and the Rams winning. And then the Chiefs-Bills game and the Cardinals-Cowboys game, or Cowboys-Cardinals game, I will do those on Monday, as those are on Monday, so I'll preview those games then. So those are my picks for this weekend's game. So hopefully I do well. I'm hoping that I do well this week. My picks last week was a pretty interesting week. So right now, here's where I stand. I stand at 55-24 overall, and I went 9-5 last week. Last week was by far, my iffiest week. Only went 9-5. It was my least amount of win week and my most amount of losses. Actually, tied for the most amount of losses in a week. No, week 1 I had 6. That picks I got wrong. Week 2 really put me above. I went 10-6, and in week 2 I went 13-3. If I don't have that week 2, I have another 9-7, 10-6 week 2. I may only be right now 50-30 or something like that, 50-28 or 50-29. That week 2 is really big. 13-3 is very good for the picks. Then 11-5, then 11-4, then 9-5, and now week 6 have not done everything yet because obviously there was no Thursday night game. So I would be something right now, but I'm still 0-0 because there was no Thursday night game because obviously that got rescheduled. So that explains why I've not gotten a pick right or wrong yet this week. Hopefully I get all of them right. Obviously, I hope the Jets, win, obviously. I hope I get them all right except whatever. I mean, if I have the Jets winning, I hope I get that one right. If I have the Jets losing, then that one I obviously hope is wrong. But, more than likely, those are going to be right. Those are usually the easiest picks to make, are the Jets picks. It's just how it is. So now coming up next, we'll do the fantasy football overview, who you should start, sit, players to watch for, questionables, all that stuff coming up next. Alrighty, so this is week 6, obviously, for fantasy football as well. I come in my one league 2-3, come into my other league 3-2. This week in my one league I'm projected 112.7 points, and in my other league I'm projected 102.7. So, decent, nothing crazy out of this world, amazing, but pretty good projections there. Every week in my league, I'm projected. This week, I'm not, but if you follow what I'm saying, so good week for fantasy football. Hopefully another good week for fantasy football. In my one league, this is my lineup I'm rocking with right now: Aaron Rodgers, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, George Kittle, David Johnson, Rams defense, and Harrison Butker. And in my bench is Chris Carson, DJ Moore, Zach Ertz, Bills defense, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Matt Ryan. Now, I am still deciding on what I'm going to do with this David Johnson. I don't know if I'm going to put him in. I don't know what I'm going to do. I hope that I put him in. I hope that if I put him in, he's going to do good. I mean, he's been consistent. He's been very consistent. 16 points, 5 points, 10 points, 9 points, 10 points. Like, if he can have me another 10-point week, I'll be okay with that. Like, is what I'm trying to say. He's been consistent. Robert Woods has outbursted these past couple weeks as well. Like, he had 11, 9, 16, 3, 13. Like, he's really had a couple really good weeks. And now Robinson has had a very couple good weeks. 7, 3. Since Trubisky's taken over, he's been amazing. 18, 16, 9. So it's between them three who's going to be on my flex. I put Gurley back up to running back because Gurley's been insane. I mean, Gurley's has had a great year. 11, 6, 14, 18, 21. I mean, Gurley has had an amazing season. And last week, 121 yards. Looked the most like Rams Gurley we've seen. He's averaging 14.3 points. So, I'm bringing in Juju, although a lot of people might question, this whole Juju thing. I still have hope. I understand it's been an iffy year for him. He hasn't been, crazy good. He got 18, 4, 12 bye week 2. So, I don't know if that was because of the unprecedented bye week. But he plays against Cleveland this week. Then Tennessee, Baltimore, Dallas, Cincinnati, Jacksonville. So, his next 4 games are against defenses outside of Cleveland and Tennessee. Baltimore's good defense. And in Dallas and Cincinnati and Jacksonville, I'm expecting big days out of him. So, I'm hoping that he can, I'm just hoping that he can have a good week. He's been good. He hasn't been anything crazy. He's been good. He's been good for me. He hasn't been amazing. He hasn't been out of this world insane like Devontae Adams has when he's in. Adams had 27-3 because he had to get taken out. But, Adams, I just hope that he can do well. I mean, Adams, he's so good. He's just, gets injured a lot. I just hope that he could stay healthy this game. So, George Kittle, I also have in. He's kind of been one of those guys that, has a good week, then a bad week. He had 5, 25, 4. So he's kind of in line this week to have a good week because it seems like it's like every other. He is playing against a very, very good Rams defense, which is going to be interesting to see. But I think he has a pretty good game. I would start him. And then, Butker, kicker, your normal stuff. I don't really have to tell you what kicker to start. It's really whatever kicker you got. And then for my other league, some waiver additions you might want to make. If you're in a situation where, let's just say, I don't know, maybe you have Matt Ryan, for example. Like, I have Matt Ryan. He has struggled this year. He outside of his first 2 games has struggled. He had 27, 36, then he's 13, 12, 6. He's been bad ever since. So, for a guy like Matt Ryan, let's just say you're in a situation like him, you don't know if you want to put him against a Minnesota defense. If Minshew's available, I don't know. Stafford, kind of just those guys in general, or something like that. One of these things. It's going to be interesting to see really what happens. I think with him is what I should say. It's going to be definitely very interesting to see what happens. Some running backs that are available. Phillip Lindsay is obviously back. Phillip Lindsay is back. A lot of people are going to put him at flex. If you're in a situation where you had Melvin Gordon and you want to put in Lindsay at flex, you can do that. I think Lindsay's an amazing player. I've always liked Phillip Lindsay. I think he's very good. I'm going to keep my eye out this week for Phillip Lindsay to see what happens with him because he only played 1 game this year, 3.5 points, and it was injured against Pittsburgh, injured against Tampa Bay, injured against the Jets, bye week, and tomorrow Sunday he'll play if they do play that game. So, if he starts to get on a roll, I might look out to get him. Antonio Gibson's available. Myles Gaskin's also available. Expect him to have a big day against the New York Jets. He's been surprisingly very good. 6 points, 8 points, 9 points, 6, 15. So he's been surprisingly very good. And he could be a future guy for you because then he goes bye week. Then the Rams, who are tough. Then the Cardinals, who their defense can definitely be beatable. So down the road, if you want a guy that can play this week and he's going to go into a bye week, get Gaskin. Receivers, Fuller, Marquise Brown. Slayton, I don't know. Slayton had a good week last week. He's very unreliable. I wouldn't call him I'm not just saying that because he's a Giants player, but you don't really know what to expect from him. You just don't know what to expect from him, right? You got 22 points, 3 points, 3 points, 4 points, 12 points. It's against a bad Washington defense. And if you do, in fact, pick him up, you're playing him against 5 bad defenses in a row. Washington this week, then Philadelphia, then Tampa Bay, then Washington, then Philly, then bye, then Cincinnati. Those are all bad defenses. So if you pick them up, you might have them for a long haul. And then they get to the back end of the schedule, which is really difficult. Seattle, Arizona, Cleveland, Dallas, or Baltimore, then Dallas. So if you want Slayton, he could be available there. Tight ends, they're tight ends. There's not many good tight ends. I notice, that's the one thing with tight ends. I find myself, that's the one position I don't usually move. If you know what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying. That's the one position I don't usually drop and pick up. Because I just feel like there's no good tight ends ever. I don't know if that's just how my leagues are. But, the best tight end, according to projections, is Hayden Hurst. And this has been a stat line this year. 3, 13, 6. Including a 1-catch game. 5, 8. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of odd. It's one of those things where it's just, kind of odd. I'm just, he's only averaging 5.8 points. I don't know. There's just something about the tight ends. I find myself not dropping them. Running backs, I'll drop them if they're struggling because there's another running back. But if a tight end's struggling, I kind of have to go with it because the tight ends on the waiver wires usually aren't much better. So my opponent's I'm projected to beat him 112 to 106. But, you can't always go off of those projections. Hopefully I do win. That's obviously the whole goal. In my other league, I'm 3-2, and I made a trade move. If you did not realize, I did make a trade move. So in my other league, my opponent, he had Dak Prescott and Cam Newton. So both of them were out. Prescott played, the first 3 quarters, then got injured, and then Cam Newton was obviously out last week. He needs a backup quarterback. Drew Brees has been struggling this year. So this was my deal for him. I gave him Drew Brees and T.Y. Hilton, and I received Chris Godwin and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I understand you might be thinking, he does have Allen Robinson. I was trying to snag him, but I just didn't know if that was going to go through. I understand, with the whole Clyde Edwards-Helaire thing, but if he can get me through this week and have a good week this week, and then Godwin, if, he's projected to, he thinks, Godwin's supposed to play Sunday. If Godwin can somehow get some good reps in and stuff, I really feel like this is a deal that's going to help me. I got rid of T.Y. Hilton, who's been nothing but, in my opinion, has really struggled. 5 points, 2 points, 5 points, 2 points, 6 points. Then you look at a guy like Breeze, who has struggled this year. He's on a bye week this week, but he has struggled. 14, 14, 23, 15, 21. So he's struggled. And I know it's without Michael Thomas, but I have Watson, who I think is going to pick it up. Watson, I think, is going to pick it up. He's had 20, 14, 16, 20, 24. I think he's going to pick it up this week again. I think they're going to lose, but I think he's going to have a pretty good game. And this is my lineup I'm rocking with this week: Deshaun Watson, Kenyon Drake, James Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, A.J. Brown. At the moment, I don't know. If I get Godwin, I'm probably throwing in Godwin over A.J. Brown. Jack Ertz, Antonio Gibson, Rams defense, Rodrigo Blankenship. Benches: Keenan Allen, T.Y. Hilton, Drew Brees, Hunter Henry, Chase Claypool, and Chase Edmonds. Keenan Allen, Brees, Hunter Henry are all on bye weeks. And either way, Keenan Allen might not even play this week because he has a back problem. So, a couple questionables. Mike Evans is questionable, which in a way could be bad but good, because if Evans is questionable and Godwin comes back, that means most of the targets are probably going to go for Godwin, which could be good for me. And if Evans plays, Godwin might not get as many targets, but it's still good because then Evans could get focused on. In a way, it's either way, whoever, whatever. Evans ankle practice in limited capacity Thursday. So just keep your eyes out for what's going to happen with Mike Evans. A.J. Brown is questionable. He had a big week last week. He's questionable. Brown didn't practice Thursday. Erica Bacharaka of the Tennessee Reports, or however you pronounce his last name. So, like I said, I always say this: Mike Evans, limited capacity, might be limited snaps. A.J. Brown, Tuesday game, probably no practice Wednesday. Thursday is probably their first day of practice. Friday, you got to keep your eye. A.J. Brown, I don't know. I think Mike Evans seems more hopeful than A.J. Brown does. Actually, I don't know, because they get Godwin back. So it's not like they need Evans to try to force him, because they do get Godwin back. Either way, though, Evans and A.J. Brown, if you have them on your team, or if you have one of them, or whatever, Evans and A.J. Brown, just keep your eye out. They're questionable. Just watch out. Keep your eyes peeled. If they both play, okay. Evans plays 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. A.J. Brown plays at 1. So you'll find out with A.J. Brown in the morning. Evans, you're just might have to take a gamble. And as for players you could add, same thing. Running backs, I tell you what, Adrian Peterson, a lot of people are high on him. 11, 4, 8, 9 this season. He's averaging about 8 a game. If you need a guy to come in for you and get you maybe a solid 1 or 2 points, or not a solid 1 or 2 points, maybe get you a solid 8 or 9 points, I would go with Peterson. If you want a guy, I wouldn't recommend, Adrian Peterson in my league is really the only running back that I would really, 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 really rely on. You want to listen to let's look at the tight ends. These are the tight ends that are available in my league. Eric Ebron, T.J. Hawkinson, Jimmy Graham, who's been solid, but for some reason they just don't believe in Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's 5th on the position rank. Austin Hooper, Gronk, Eifert, Tonian, Schultz, Brate. Cameron Brate has not been utilized much. It is pretty crazy, though. It really is. You wouldn't think that players you just wouldn't think, tight end's just a pretty thin position. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, I think, this week. DJ Chark's some available receiver. Marvin Jones Jr., I dropped him. Justin Jefferson. Be prepared. Justin Jefferson could be a guy to face up against that Falcons defense, which is a struggling defense. So, and the Vikings are a team that could definitely get out there with a win. So just keep your eyes peeled for those players. So hopefully in both leagues I win this week and I move on with two winning weeks this week. So now I move on to my other league, or not my other league. Now I move on to the MLB picks. So MLB yesterday, Rays a loss 4-3. I was not yesterday. Okay, sorry. Braves won 10-2. Astros won 4-3. Atlanta leads the series 3-1. Tampa Bay leads 3-2. Today, 6:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Astros, Rays. I give the Rays the win. Dodgers, Braves. Sadly, I don't know if the Dodgers can win. I'm going to go with the Braves here, even though I want the Dodgers to win. I just don't know. I don't know. It's just Dodgers just can't get their hitting and pitching around. So I think the Braves win. So Rays and Braves, I think. And now we move on to the college football slate. These are the games upcoming this week. SMU, Tulane. SMU winning BYU, Houston, BYU winning. Auburn, South Carolina, Auburn winning. I don't know why they have Auburn only 2.5 against South Carolina. Cincinnati, Tulsa was postponed. Tennessee, Kentucky, Tennessee winning. Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, postponed. Was that postponed? I thought that was already... No, that was already played. I don't know why it says on here that was postponed. I knew it was already played. I was like... I saw highlights from that game. Louisville, Notre Dame, winning. Notre Dame winning. Louisville came out, had a good start to their season. Had a good quarterback, started off well. Some really good play calls. And now they're 1-3. Like, it's almost like this Louisville team just fell off college football. Notre Dame, I do think, will win this game. Florida, LSU, Florida winning. Although that game's postponed as well. Forgot about that. Many positive cases on Florida as well. Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Got Texas A&M winning. North Carolina, Florida State. North Carolina winning. Talk about a program that was on top of the world, top of the nation 6 years ago, and just how things have changed since Winston and Jimbo Fisher have left. I mean, the Florida State, they just can't get anything right. I think North Carolina wins. OK State, Baylor, that is postponed. Virginia Tech, Boston College, Virginia Tech winning. And then, sorry about that. I got to get that back up here. And then Georgia, Alabama. Alabama's 4.5-point favorites. Over under 57.5. I have Georgia winning this game. I know that might sound outrageous, but I do have Georgia winning this game. Clemson, I got winning tomorrow. And then Miami, Pittsburgh. Miami comes into this game 3-1. Pittsburgh comes in 3-2. 13th ranked Miami. They do not have the spread for this for some reason. I think Miami wins this game pretty easily. I think they'll win 35-21. I just think, they're going to come there. I think they're going to come back, and I think they're going to, come back, and I think they're going to play well. They struggled last week, but I think they'll turn it around and be able to have have a good week this week. I mean, you're playing Clemson. What are you going to expect? I mean, can you really expect them to have an amazing week, put up 50 points and beat Clemson? That's tough to do. So I have Clemson winning and Miami winning. So that's what I got for the podcast. Wow, an hour. Really? An hour. I saw it before an hour, and I was like, really? Because it doesn't see. I feel like I looked up right when I started fantasy football, and it was at 50, I thought. And then I thought fantasy football only took fantasy football, no. I looked up at fantasy football, and it was at 45. So fantasy football, I talked for fantasy football for about 15 minutes. Because college football I talked about for 3 minutes. I skimmed through college football. I really like to watch it, but I'd go more in depth with the, because outside college football I really watch the games. But Miami is my main team and stuff, and I'll watch the other games, but, it's just sometimes I'm not as informed as I should say. I know at least one player, at least 3, 4, 5 players from every NFL team more than likely. But yeah, so obviously another good week of football coming up. So everybody, enjoy your football weekend. Another big weekend of football coming up. Go Miami, go Jets. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, good luck to your favorite team, whoever they are, except if they're the Dolphins, because obviously I do not want the Dolphins to win. I want the Jets to win. So have another good football weekend. College football tomorrow, NFL on Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. Like always, I take breaks on the weekend, so I'll see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.